Many actors and actresses will work their whole lives trying to get a prominent role on a television series. Once it happens, those stars generally hope the role will last as long as possible. Sadly, there have been many stars since the introduction of television who have gotten roles on notable series only to have them cut short as a result of tragic deaths. Join Facts First as we take a look at 1950s actors who died during production of their TV show. Richard Hart. Richard Hart was born in Providence, Rhode Island on April 14, 1915. Both his father and grandfather were lawyers, though Richard took up an interest in English and psychology. After attending Brown University, he worked for a short period for a silver company called Gorham. It was during this time that he started daydreaming of becoming an actor. Though these started out as mere fantasies, a gig performing at a summer stock theater in his home state made him decide to move out to New York City and try it for real. He was married at the time, and he and his wife had a child. His wife and son accompanied him to New York City, but his wife soon decided city life wasn't for her. She divorced him and took their son back to Rhode Island. In December 1943, he made his Broadway debut. It came thanks to a role in a production called Pillar to Post. He went on to perform in a number of other popular shows on Broadway, including Dark of the Moon. It was during this time he met the woman who would become his second wife. This was actress Louise Valerie. Around that same time, Richard caught the attention of MGM. Starting in 1947, he began appearing in motion pictures. His film debut came in 1947's Desire Me, in which he appeared alongside Robert Mitchum. He subsequently appeared alongside Lana Turner in Green Dolphin Street and Barbara Stanwyck in B.F.'s Daughter. In 1949, Richard asked MGM to let him out of his contract. Following this, he moved back to New York City and became better known for his performances on television. In 1950, he became the first actor ever to portray the character of Ellery Queen on television, thanks to his titular role on the series The Adventures of Ellery Queen. Sadly, the actor passed away during the production. He died in 1951, with his cause of death being a coronary occlusion. Barton Yarborough. When Barton Yarborough was a boy, he ran away from his Texas home to begin working in the arena of vaudeville. Given that, it wasn't long before he found his way onto the radio and then TV. His introduction to radio came in the 1920s. In 1932, he started a long-running gig on the radio drama One Man's Family that lasted until his death. Besides that role, other notable radio programs he appeared on included I Love a Mystery and Dragnet. As a result of his voice roles on these popular series, he ended up being given roles in their inevitable live-action counterparts. I Love a Mystery was adapted into a series of films, which Barton starred in during the mid-40s. Several years later, Dragnet was adapted into a classic TV series. That premiered in 1951. Although he had been given the opportunity to reprise his radio role for the TV adaptation, Barton only got the chance to film 2 episodes before tragically passing away. Besides his work in the entertainment industry, he was married 2 times and had 1 child. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more about 1950s actors who died during production. Hattie McDaniel. Most people will recognize Hattie McDaniel best for her memorable turn in the classic film Gone with the Wind. She played Mammy, though she had played many similar roles in prior features. Her first notable ones were in 1934's Judge Priest and 1935's Alice Adams. While Hattie McDaniel had appeared in several pictures prior to Gone with the Wind, it was that picture that ended up making her a household name. She became the first African-American star ever to win an Academy Award, though her win was sadly hampered by the fact that the ceremony during which she was given the award happened to be segregated. Sadly, following her memorable appearance, most of the actress's later work was in television instead of film. In 1947, Hattie began voicing the titular lead role on the radio series Beulah. That radio series was adapted into a live-action TV series in the 50s, though Hattie sadly passed away during production. Nana Bryant. Nana Bryant was known for her roles in such notable features such as 1936's Theodora Goes Wild, 1945's Brewster's Millions, and 1950's Harvey. At the time of her death on Christmas Eve of 1955, Nana had a gig on the 1950s series Our Miss Brooks. Fred Allen. Fred Allen was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1894. He attended Boston University and began appearing on Broadway during his adulthood. Some of his notable roles were in the productions The Greenwich Village Follies and The Passing Show of 1922. He also became a prominent voice on the radio. Entering into the 50s, Fred began acting less on stage and more on screen. He became the host of the Colgate Comedy Hour in 1950, but sadly had to end this gig early as a result of failing health. He went on to pass away shortly after. Charles King. When Charles King was only a teen, he made a small appearance in the classic silent film The Birth of a Nation. This was the start of a prominent career for the actor, who appeared in many films before his death several years later. The roles Charles became best known for were in westerns, predominantly those produced by low-rent production company PRC Pictures during the 40s. During his career, he got to share the screen with such stars as John Wayne and Buster Crabbe. His reliable appearances in westerns eventually got Charles a gig on the long-running TV series Gunsmoke, but sadly he passed away during his work on the show. Charles's death came in 1957, with the cause of his death being cirrhosis. George Cleveland. Cleveland was an actor who made his debut in the 1934 picture Mystery Liner before going on to appear in well over 100 films. Despite George's immensely prolific resume, his most memorable role remains that of Gramps on the 1954 series Lassie. Sadly, George passed away during production, causing his role to come to an end a bit early. John Hamilton. Hamilton made a name for himself on Broadway before making a transition over to film in the 1930s. While he was a reliable player in films over the course of his career, his most prominent role didn't come until he was cast in the 1952 TV series Adventures of Superman. He was newspaper editor Perry White. Several years later, John passed away as a result of a heart attack. George Reeves. George Reeves was the actor who played Superman on that classic television series, and he passed away soon after receiving the part. George's big break in the industry came when he was cast as Stuart Tarleton in Gone with the Wind. A few years later, he was the lead actor in 1943's So Proudly We Hail. This role was set to turn George into a big star, but sadly, World War II interrupted that. He went overseas to serve, causing him to lose all his career momentum. Upon returning from the war, George floundered in the industry as a result of lost career momentum before finally receiving his second big break in the form of his role as Superman. Sadly, that wasn't enough to make him happy, and he killed himself. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these stories was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.